Yeah, so I'll be going first. I have Zatsu Tabi. That's Journey. I think they just did the word play with Zatsu and like it sounded close to that. Um, uh, to that, I guess that's and
Maybe if you
that
plug your ears
Zatsu.
and scream a little bit,
Yeah,
but
exactly. Zatsu meaning just like rough, just like out of nowhere, just like sudden stuff like that. So Zatsu Tabi is just just picking up your bag, just going. So picking up your bag and just like going wherever, and just like suddenly just planning, not even really planning, just like going somewhere for a trip. So as you can kind of tell from the name and the art and pretty much the premise everywhere, it is just very quiet slice of life based upon the girl slash girls just traveling here and there. So let me start out with the rest of the info first, real quick here. So Zatsutabi is a manga original by Ishizaka Kenta. So this is his first work. It was made, it was produced into this anime by headed by Makaria. Makaria is a smaller studio who's mainly done a lot of assistant work, but they have their recent work have been Drop Kick on My Devil, Apocalypse Day Special, and then this season they're not only doing Zatsutabi, but they're also doing Yami Healer. So Yami Healer is short for The Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows, and that's also airing this season. So they're actually doing two series this season. They managed to snag it. They managed to snag two interesting bags from the production committees. So interesting that this studio is getting to do two works this season. They're also being helped a little bit by Luminous. But yeah, the general staff is Macaria is rounding up some sort of general up and comers, people who haven't done as much work, as well as more experienced staff that have worked with Macaria under while Macaria kind of spooled out Dropkick, as well as some people from the outside, and they're kind of just rounding all this staff up under the infamous duo, ReZero duo. So the director and the scriptwriter being in Watanabe Masaharu and Nakamura Yoshiko. So these two did do all seasons of ReZero, and Watanabe was the director, and Nakamura Yoshiko was, I believe, the scriptwriter slash series composition person. So just kind of pointing out, obviously, both of them are quite experienced in doing, their own work. Like animation director Masaharu Watanabe has a lot of um, animation director stuff as well, and Nakamura himself is obviously experienced as well. But they're kind of bringing together a little bit more of a ragtag crew in this case. Oh, one thing I do want to mention about the staff as well is the probably I want to say there's one super prolific veteran in this entire staff, but it is actually not the director or the scriptwriter. It is it is the person who is listed in the credits as the cooking animation director. So Oki Ayako in this entire staff role is credited as cooking animation director, and I believe this person has probably the most work slash experience slash venerated list of works across all of the staff. So you kind of see where their priorities are going. Um, but yeah, going over to the voice acting cast real quick. This is a very interesting cast. So you have two very much newcomers, extreme kind of horns in these sort of major positions. So the main character, Suzukamori Chika, is being done by Tsukishiro Hika. So Tsukishiro Hika has pretty much not really done anything except for one character, named character in Uma Musume. She voices Wind Variation in Uma Musume. This role is not only like pretty much one of her first ever really like named roles, period, other than like obviously voice actors, actresses when they start out, they do like women B or dog or like schoolgirl A, stuff like that. but this is like one of her first named roles. And not only that, this is her first ever main kind of breakout role. So very interesting to see. And another major role is being done by Hiretsuka Sae, voicing Unoki Yui. So this person actually did do another main role back in 2024 by voicing Hoshikawa Mitsuki, with the blonde girl in Himitsu no Aipuri, sort of one of the main kind of magical girl series. But these two then are kind of supported in the back by a bunch of super prolific veterans. So you'll have again Sato Satomi, Hikasa Yoko, Kobayashi Yu. You have Suzushiro Sayumi, who's not necessarily as prolific as say Hikasa Yoko, but she still has a metric ton of roles in her bag. So it's a very interesting composition here. Going over in the OPED, opening, ending, and audio visuals real quick. The opening is called Tabi Shio, Don't You? By Haramoe. So Haramoe is a Japanese voice actors singing duo who does a bunch of like tends to do a lot of anime songs. Overall, this opening is a very standard anime song, and the storyboard is extremely standard as well. And it's sort of made even easier by the fact that 99% of it is just spanning shots of real life backgrounds, like temples and stuff like that. So it's like you'll just be like, "Hey, it's like a slowly scrolling shot of a temple. Hey, look, it's an onsen slowly expanding in the background." It's like, it's like whatever, bro. It's like it's not exactly super impressive, so to say. And the ending, which I believe has not shown up yet in terms of animation, or I don't think it's actually shown up in the episode or in the series, because in the first episode, I believe only the opening has shown up. But the ending is called Bookmarks by Sizuk. So Sizuk is a an anisong slash idol slash VTuber song creative group, somewhat similar to say Supercell, right? However, Sizuk is headed by a composer known as Shunryu. So Shunryu will bring together a whole bunch of like different creative like artists and illustrators and stuff like that to again create these songs that are then used by artists and idols and stuff like that. So in this case, Sizuk has vocals by Harucha, who is kind of like an internet singer who kind of became famous on social media slash the internet. Lyrics by Yanaginagi. I would say that this ending is a pretty standard anime composition, but I do like the vocals quite a bit from Harucha. I think it's worth a listen because it is kind of like a brisk pace. It's a nice listen, and I do like the vocals decent amount. But I wouldn't say. I mean, I'm gonna guess that I haven't seen obviously the ending yet because it hasn't come out. But I'm gonna guess it's probably not gonna be super impressive. Going over the audio visuals themselves in the episode, uh, the visuals again, it's not really impressive. The character models that are have been adapted into the anime from the manga, right? Because if you guys don't know, I mean, most of you should know, but obviously the people who draw the stuff in the manga are not the same people who design the characters that get animated in the anime. Obviously, they're trying to have as similar as model as possible, but the models in the anime are often significantly different from the manga, tend to be. Um, so the character models that are in the anime themselves are not particularly super engaging or impressive in their animations. The models themselves, the static models themselves, kind of remind me of Shindo Masaru's work in Oregairu's anime models. And overall, the models and the animations are kind of saved a little bit by the fact that it's just all quiet slice of life and there's no big action going on. The visuals themselves are also sort of quote unquote carried, I would say, by just the food scenes, and it's not even like a lot of the food scenes are not really. It's not like Kofuku graffiti or like Shokugeki no Soma where the food is like splashing and dancing and like the noodles are rippling all over the place. It's just pictures of food. Um, more detailed pictures of food than you expect, but they're still pictures of food, as well as just background art of IRL locations or like standard things like Japanese trains, stuff like that. And how do I say this? It's like, I mean, it still takes effort to like draw that stuff, but I feel like I'm not sure how much praise I should just be like, oh yeah, you essentially like made an illustrated version of the temple. Like you went to the temple. It's like you got the photography director, you work with the photography director and the background art guys to just make this as amenable as possible to the 2D model, to the anime. So it's kind of not super impressive to me overall because a lot of times it's just the background art that carries it, and it's not like the created super original landscapes. It's not like a made in abyss kind of deal. It was just things that were already there. Um, the OST I would say is also not super impressive, and it was pretty much what you would find in most other simple slice of life anime with more kind of sparse instrumentation and reliance on stuff like violin or flute solos to set a slower pace or to set a quieter, slower pace. I also do want to mention that I do like these sorts of series, but I'm trying to make my first impression slash review of this as objective as possible, right? It's like I like watching this sort of stuff, even if it's degenerate slop. But it's recommending it and evaluating it highly is another thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like,
So
a lot of it
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
not even just standard. It's not like the audio visuals are particularly carrying it or something like that. So
Yeah. It's not bad, but it's just like there's no thing where I'm like, wow, now this is like anime. You know what I mean? Like this is why I
yeah,
watch anime kind of business. Yeah.
yeah, because like
Um.
even what's it called? Like it sounds like you could probably speak higher on that in the way it does it. Because if you compare it to something like Yuru Camp, right? When you were talking about how like they go to
Yes.
the temple
Yes.
and they kind of like
Yes.
trace it, but or not trace it, but they you have like, the director of photography like obviously getting more than enough shots and then just recreating the temple. But it's like I feel like stylistically, like something like Yuru Camp really, I don't know, really goes through the effort to like stylize its backgrounds, but still
Yes.
keep the
And it's
detail.
also yeah, and there's a lot more attention to kind of I guess the characters themselves, and I don't think there's that much like care to make the character models that appealing in either the manga or the anime in this series. You know what I mean? Like there's something like there's way more care taken to the character designs, I think, in Yuta Camp than in a lot of other like standard kind of series. But yeah, so going over the story real quick. Suzuka Morichika, the blue-haired main girl, she's a college student who's been kind of trying to become a mangaka, but she keeps getting rejected. She's depressed, and one day she just decides to get up and just travel around. And so that sort of like initial, oh man, I'm so depressed. Like, I should just go on. I should just go on a journey. But should I? Yeah, screw it. I'll just go on a journey. That thing lasts about like a couple of minutes of the first episode, and the rest of it is literally just her traveling. That's literally it. And what I would say is that this initial story setup of, oh man, why am I taking on this journey? Why am I going on this journey and wasting money? I'm already a bum. Why am I doing this? It kind of does have slight hints, wafts of being more promising in terms of character development. But the big issue with that is this is only, it would only have a lot more value if they dig a lot deeper into it. And the problem is that would lead into conflict with a main sort of value of this series, the upfront surface level value of the series. Because if you think about it, why do people come into this series in the first place? They don't come into the series being like, man, I want to see some drama. I want to see some introspection about why this girl's going on a journey. No, they want to be just like degenerate slop about this girl going on a journey or going around Japan and looking at things, right? So if she does do more like introspective digging, it takes away screen time from the girl traveling around Japan. So I think it creates this like internal story conflict. It would create this internal story conflict, which is why it can't sort of happen. but it's also a little bit unfortunate. You know what I mean? Because it's like I feel like that would be a good route to go in some sense, but it's they can't take that route because the series is about just like background scenery porn essentially. Uh, Other than that, again, the rest of the series is just her traveling around, viewing stuff, and just seeing trivia about like various tourist sites and like mountains and like temples and locations like trip locations in Japan. And a lot of it is also kind of like, oh, I'm at an onsen. Oh, this is comfortable and like the scenery and stuff. Or wow, I'm at a train station. I'm gonna buy an ekiben. You know, I'm gonna eat this ekiben. Or I'm in a train. Wow, I'm so relaxed. I'm like plugging in and doing whatever. And it's that sort of it's 99% of it's just like thing Japan meme. You know what I mean? Thing versus thing Japan kind of meme. And so this series is good if you just want to see that sort of like I would just want to see background art or scenes of, you know, Thing Japan. If you've ever turned on one of those YouTube streams of what is it? It's like not streams, but if you've ever watched one of those YouTube videos where it's like the dude is just walking through Shibuya or walking through like a city in Japan or like walking through nature or walking through Kyoto in Japan or whatever it is for like 30 minutes. It's just like ambient sounds or like him just like running through Japan landscape or something like that, right? If you've ever watched one of those videos, that's essentially what it is, but in anime format. That's like that's this series. So if you like that sort of stuff, I think it's fine. You know, it has additional related trivia. It has relaxing tempo. You get to see anime food porn slightly here and there. You know, you get to see again thing Japan kind of stuff. But if you're not kind of here exactly for that, exactly to be that degenerate, I think it's kind of whatever. But the flip side is a lot of people do like that stuff. A lot of people just want thing, comma Japan. So shrug kind of. So um, I'm going to, in my evaluation, I'm going to try to remove that sort of aspect. I'm going to try to be. I'm going to try to get my evaluation to be agnostic in with regards to do people like just indulging in thing, comma Japan. You know what I mean? So I think overall, agnostic of that, this is a series that is not terrible. It does what it needs to do, but it is it doesn't go anywhere beyond that really. It's like quite lacking it's a little bit lacking creativity and it just does exactly like just the bare like minimum ish, the bare standard, the bare tolerable line of like what it needs to do. And you can kind of feel that. You're like, okay, well, you're just showing me simple background art of things that just already exist in real life. And that's it. That's like the entire sort of evaluation of the series. So in that case, I think it would be hard pressed for me to give it above a five, even though I like it. Like I would watch it, but it's hard for me to give it above average, right? Because it's already losing points in terms of creativity. So at best, I would give it a 5. I would probably have to give it a 4.5 because it's like I have to kind of take it away because the character model aren't engaging, the audio visuals aren't that like super engaging, and it's banking a little bit too much on just like, wow, it's in Japan, it's a train, but in Japan, or like I'm eating a lunchbox of bento, but it's in Japan, you know, that sort of stuff. I don't know, like, should I give it what do you guys think? Like, would it be like, the more that I think about it, I almost think I should give it a 4 instead. But it's like, I don't think it's, like, specifically, like, terrible. That's the thing, you know what I mean? You guys see where I'm going with this logic?
Yeah, I mean,
So
I don't know if I would deduct points, but it's like, yeah, if it's not doing anything special beyond like
it's definitely
that,
not
and
beyond a
again,
5,
like I said, like
period. Yeah.
if its audio visuals aren't like, pretty remarkable, then yeah, I'd find it pretty hard to sell a series like this on anything much higher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I would probably give it a 4.5. So if you're a little bit more critical, it's like, wow, there's really not more here. I could see it getting a 4. If you like the sort of stuff, obviously 5 maybe even more, but it would be agnostic of this whole like, do you like just looking at things in Japan? It would be hard pressed to give it above an average score. So that's my review of it. If you like Thing Japan, if you like seeing anime version of Japanese anime girl riding Japanese train, eating Japanese bento. It's like if you like that scene, watch it, sure. Um, but beyond that, I think it's hard for me to ascribe any more value to it, and a lot of that value, again, is being carried by, wow, anime art of X temple, or this temple, or that temple. So that's pretty much all I have to say about it.